Hey everyone, welcome back to Code of the Row. Today we're going to be going over part 2 of our Sidescroller using the gameplay ability system, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. So in the last video we did create some HP attributes that we can display on our screen, and next up I just want to add more attributes in this video and maybe some leveling system, and if it's not going to take too long then I will just begin by making some UI components so we can showcase the UI on our screen. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is head over to our C++ classes, and I'm going to open up both the RPG attribute set and the RPG character. Now I'm going to start adding some properties for mana. Below my max health, I'm just going to do / mana and then / max mana. And now all I need to do is I can just copy paste my health down here, and I'll just replace the word health with mana. So I'll do mana over here, and over here, and that looks pretty good to me. And then I can just copy paste this again. And then under my max mana, I can just simply change it to max mana. So like so, max mana here, here, and here. And now down here for the replication functions for attributes, I need to add one that represents or that calls my onRep mana function and onRep max mana. So I can just copy paste down here and then copy my onRep mana right here, like so. And then the same thing for my max mana. So I can just write max mana here. And now I can go to my C++ file and define it there. So the first thing I'm going to do at the top in my constructor is add this comma after max health, and then I'll do something like mana, and I'll just start it as 100.f, comma, max mana, and for max mana I'll also do 100.f as well. And now under this clamp health, I want to add one for clamping mana. So I'm just going to write else if. So else if attribute is equal to get mana attribute, then we just want to clamp the mana, and we'll do that by doing new value is equal to fmath clamp the new value with the bottom of 0.0f, and then max will be the max mana dot get current value, like so. And now after adding this clamp, we can go ahead and add some replication notifies. And for this, for the purpose of these statistics that I'm creating, I'm only going to be clamping my health, mana, and stamina. The rest are just going to be pretty set values that'll increase and affect other factors, like for example, strength will increase melee damage, and so on. So now that we've modified the pre-attribute change to clamp our mana, let's go ahead and modify the post. So now for the post gameplay effects under this get health attribute, I'm going to add an else if over here and do data.evaluated.attribute is equal to get mana attribute. This will handle the mana changes. And then I will just set mana, which is going to call that clamp we created, and call the function get mana, and just clamp it between 0 and the get max mana. So I clicked that button to make that definition, so I added it right here. And all I need to do for this is just add that gameplay attribute rep notify and call that mana. And I'll change this from max health to mana, like so. And this is pretty good. And then I'll do the same for my max mana. And just like that, that looks pretty good to me. And then down here, finally, we just need to get lifetime replicated props. And we'll make sure rep notify is always, just like we do here, no condition, and just add these variables. So I can just duplicate these. And this looks pretty good to me. And that's pretty much all we need for our mana. So you can pretty much add whatever additional attributes you want. And yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll walk through my attributes set.h and .cpp. So let me just get back to you in just a second after doing all mine. It is going to be a ton of attributes, so it will take a little bit. All right, so now let me go over what I've added. So we've added health, max health, mana, max mana. I've added stamina, max stamina, strength, agility, intelligence, attack speed, crit chance, magic power, attack power, movement speed, which I defaulted to 600 because that's native to Unreal Engine, cast speed, health regen, mana regen, and stamina regen. And if you want to copy this file exactly how it is, I will leave it on my Patreon via the description below. And for those following my file, you're going to see that I created a macro for these. So basically, for the U function on these virtual void onRep health, onRep max health, and so on, all I did for this was create this simple define macro, which is going to be our rep notify. And it's basically just going to call that void URPG attribute set, the property name, blah, 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 and does exactly how we set it to. And then it's for every single stat, like so. But yeah, feel free to check that out on the Patreon if you are interested in following this. So now with that set up, I'm just going to right click and clean my project and rebuild and actually just launch it. So let's go ahead and do that. So now I'll go ahead and actually just launch my project after it's done rebuilding. And now that I'm back on my project, I'm just going to hit F11 and click play. And while I'm in play mode, I'm just going to hit the tilde key on the left of my one. And on the bottom, you'll see it says I can type in whatever I want. I'm just going to type in show debug space ability system. And now when I click enter, you're going to see all of my tags on the left. So it says health 100, max health 100, and it's pretty much all the initialization that I set it to. Movement speed is 600, cast speed 1, and so on. And even though they're not actually just working right now because we need to set it up on our character, we can still expose this and make these functions do something. So for example, when health is 0, we can trigger a death function from our character. And you're gonna see the hitbox around my character and so on. And yeah, let's go ahead and play with these and actually show this as a UI. For this one, I'm just gonna cover the health, mana, and max health. So let's go ahead and cover those. Then I'll start off by creating a right click on my content browser, create a new folder, and I'll just call this HUD. And I'll double click to open this up. And I'm just gonna right click, go over to Blueprint, and go over to Blueprint interface. And I'll just call this something like BPI underscore HUD interface, capitalize that I, and I'll double click to open this up. So the purpose of this BPI or blueprint interface is going to allow them to communicate without needing to know about each other's specific details. So it acts like a contract, ensuring that any blueprint using the interface has the same functions available. And this makes our game logic a lot more flexible and modular. So in this case, you're going to start off on the top right. It's going to show your new function. I'm just going to call this one update health, and then I'll create another function. Or actually, so I'll call this one update health, and I'm going to create two inputs. One is going to be my current health, which is going to be a type float. So I'll write current health, and then I'll make another one called max health, and then I'll add another function, and this one will be called update mana, and I'll create another one called update stamina. And pretty much the same thing, they're going to take in two input parameters. So this one will take in current mana, and the other one will be max mana. And now for the stamina, it's going to be two inputs of type float. One will be current stamina, and the other one will be max stamina, like so. And I'll hit compile and save for now. And I'll just keep this as a tab on its own. And now back in my content browser, I'm just going to right click and go to user interface and create a widget blueprint. And I'll select user widget, and I'll call this WVP underscore HUD. And I'll double click to open this up. And now I'm just going to add a canvas panel, and I'll just leave that. And then I'm just going to go back to my third person map, and I'm going to right click and create another user interface, select widget blueprint, and I'll call this one WVP underscore health bar, like so, and double click to open this up. And now with my WVP health bar open, I'm just going to look for a canvas panel, drag this in, and then I want to drag in a progress bar and a text, regular text. Do not select rich text for this case. And for progress bar, I'm going to just set this to something like position X, or actually, let me anchor this to the top left, which it is. Size X will be 400. I'll make the size Y something like 500. I'll do alignment, and I'll zoom in just to make it look good. And then for the fill screen, I'm just going to select desired on screen. Actually, I'm just going to select for this fill screen, I'm going to change fill screen to desired. And for the text block, I'm just going to set the position X. I'm just going to set the size X to 400 and the size Y to 40 as well, just to match this. And then for justification, I'm going to select the center because I want to center my text. And now back in my progress bar, I'm going to just set the percent for the fill color and opacity. I'm going to open up style, and I'm going to change the tint to something like a, let's do a dark red for my HP. And then for the fill color and opacity, I'm going to do something a bit more lighter red, and I'll just select OK over here and make sure that percent is set to 0.5 just so we can see how it looks. And this red is a bit too, it's a bit too of a, not red enough. Okay, this looks good. Yeah, so this looks good to me, and I'll hit Control Save. Now for progress bar, I'm just going to change the name to health progress bar. And then for the text, I'm going to make sure I check is variable and call this health text. And I'll just hit compile and save like so. And now I'm just going to head over to the graph. And this one will be pretty simple. So all I'm going to do, I can get rid of all these three. And in here, I'm just going to create a custom event. And this is going to be called update health bar. And in my update health bar, I'm just going to compile and add two inputs. So I'm going to add one, which is going to be a float. And this float will be called health percent. And I'll add another one of a type text. And this text will be called health text, just like we defined here. So now I'm just going to drag out my health progress bar, get health progress bar, and let me just drag this down, and I'll look for a set percent like so. And then I'll connect this health percent over here and connect the execution pins like so. And now I'll drag out the health text, get health text, and then I will set text like so. And then I'll connect this text over here, and I'll double click on this and move it down here just so it's more visible for you, and just connect the execution pin like so. And I'll hit compile and save, and that's all we need in our WBP health bar. And now I'll go back to my third person map, and I'll right click, and I'm going to go to blueprint class and create a player controller. So as you can see, it says a player controller is an actor responsible for controlling a pawn used by the player. And this just means every single character or pawn in this case will have their own player controller. And then I'll just call this RPG player controller BP, and I'll double click to open this up. And now in my event graph, on event begin play, I'm just going to create the widget. And this widget will actually be that WBP HUD, and we'll need to add our health bar widget onto this. And then I'm going to right click and promote this to a variable to create a reference to our health bar, or it's going to be called HUD widget reference. And then I'm just going to add this to the viewport. So I'll click add to viewport like so. Now, in order for us to actually communicate with that blueprint interface we created, the BPI HUD interface, basically these functions are going to be called in order to update our HUD. So we'll need that update health, update mana, and update stamina to update our health bar that we see on the screen. And in order for us to do that, I just need to go back to my RPG controller BP, go to my class settings, and under implemented interfaces, I'm going to look for that BPI underscore HUD interface and click add. And now on the left of our interfaces, you'll see these three functions come up, and I'm just going to double click on the update health to call this update health. And you'll also see the variables we created here. It's called current health and max health that we defined over here. And for our variable, I also want to reference this WBB health bar like so. So I'm going to click on plus, and I'm going to look for health bar ref, or I'm just going to type in health bar ref to call it that, and look for that WBP underscore health bar and make it an object reference. And now I'll drag this out and get that health bar reference, and I'm going to drag and look for that custom event we created that we called update health bar over here. So I'll just drag this out and type in update health bar like so, and it's going to show us our health percent and health text that we need to get. And I can just connect these execution pins like so. And in order to get our health percent, I'm just going to drag out current health and divide this by the max health in order to get our health percentage. And then for the health text, I'm just going to right click on the event graph and look for a format text. And I'll just drag this in up here. And now I'll just drag in the current health and plug this into the format text and add 2 pins. So you'll see the 0 and 1 pop up. And I can delete this 2 text. And now from the current health, I'm going to drag this to 0. And for the max health, I'll drag this to 1. And for the format, I'm just going to type in health and then a colon, and then it's going to be 0 in curly brackets /1 in curly brackets like so. And I'll just leave it at that. And now I'll hit compile and save. And now that this is set up, I actually need a way for my character to kind of determine an on health change function. And personally, I like doing this in C++ just because it's so much easier than to set up multiple blueprints that determine if your health goes up, if your health down, if you heal, and so on. So let's go back to our C++ file and configure that. So I'll head over to my third person map, go to my C++ classes, into my project file, and open up RPG character. So now with our C++ open, I'm going to begin by editing the RPG character.header file. So I'm just going to scroll down a bit, and under where I implement my ability system interface in my public, I'm just going to create a couple functions. So this will be the blueprint event to handle our attribute changes. And essentially all I'm going to do is create a U function, and this U function will be blueprint implementable event so that we can call this event in our character. And the category for this is going to be health. And this will return a function, or this will be a function which doesn't return anything. So it's going to be void on health changed. And it's going to pass in a float delta value and a const of an f gameplay tag container, which will be event tag. And I'll put in a semicolon at the end. And now I can just copy paste this and do this for stamina or mana and stamina. So I will do mana and stamina. And then instead of on health changed, this will be on mana changed and on stamina changed. And now in my private section, I'm just going to add the functions to handle the attribute changes over here. And I'll just call them here. So I'll call the void on health or void handle health changed. And it's going to be a const of an f on attribute change data like so. Make sure your spelling is correct. And I'll do the same for my mana and stamina. And now let's define this in our C++ file. And now from here, I'll just head over to my RPG character.c++, and I'll scroll all the way to the top. And now I actually want to call this function start happening whenever we actually begin play. So in here, where we initialize our starting attributes, so if ability system component, and in this case, I'm actually just going to change this to and attribute set, so I can get rid of this. Then I'm going to bind the attribute change delegates. And now the attributes I'm going to bind is my get current health attribute, get mana attribute, and get stamina attribute. So we'll call our ability system component get gameplay attribute change delegate, or get gameplay attribute value change delegate. And then from our attribute set, we will get current health. We'll get current health attribute. So I'll get my health attribute, and it will now add this U object to this or ARPG character, and then it'll call the function handle health change. And I'll do the same for my mana and stamina. And now that we've set up our binding attribute to change delegates, this will pretty much just call on begin play. And now I'm going to scroll down and create those functions. So now under this, I'm going to call the void ARPG character, and we're going to call that handle health changed. And it's going to be a const of an f on attribute change data. And then in here, I'm just going to set the float new health is going to be data.new value. And then float old health will be data.old value. And then we are just going to calculate, and then we'll just calculate the change in our health. So float delta value. So the delta value is going to be our new health minus old health. And we'll call on health changed. So on health change delta value, and then f gameplay tech. And then I can just copy paste this and pretty much do the same thing for our mana. So I will just duplicate this twice actually. And then instead of handle health change, this one will be mana. And I'll just copy paste the mana anywhere that says health. And the same thing for stamina. And now this looks good to me. Just double checking if there are any spelling errors or anything. And now I'll actually just close my project by clicking the stop sign, making sure everything's saved. And then I will just clean and rebuild and relaunch my project. And if you are having issues launching your project, make sure you go to your build.cs file and add gameplay tags and gameplay abilities. In order to do that, you just open up your project name, open up the source folder, open up your project name once more, and then you'll see this build.cs file. All right, and now with our project started up, I'm going to head over to our third person character, open this up, and now when I right click, I can look for an event on health change. And there's also one for event on mana change and stamina as well. And now we're basically just going to be using these in order to update our UI on our WBP health bar. I'm just going to drag out this up on health change and look for that BPI HUD and call on that update health function we created over here. So from our target, I'm going to drag this out and just look for a get controller like so. And now from our health, our current health and max health, I can drag out my ability system component, drag this out, and then get a float attribute from the ability system component. And I can just copy paste this one down here, connect this to the ability system. And for the top one, I'm going to look for RPG.health. In the bottom one, I will do max health like so. And I'll do the return values accordingly. So my RPG attribute set.health will connect here. And then my RPG attribute set max health will connect to my max health like so. And then I can hit compile and save. And now I'm going to drag my event begin playback, and I will just add a sequence. So I'll do everything here to add our mapping context, and then I'll just update our health again. And then I can actually just copy paste what I created here and drag it up here and paste it here. And I will just do this. So this is just so that it will actually call our update health once in order to just initialize it whenever we actually begin play. And now when I go back to my third person map, I want to drag my RPG player controller BP onto my player controller class like so. And then I also want to drag my WBP HUD onto my HUD class. And I'm just going to open my WBP HUD and add that health bar or the health widget we created and just drag it into my canvas panel like so. And for the X and Y, I'll just do 50 by 50. And now I'm actually going to go back to my RPG player controller and change this from WBP HUD to that health bar to test it out. And I can just drag in my health bar reference, set health bar, and just connect these pins as so. If your pin doesn't connect, that means the type isn't actually the WBP health bar, and you can just change it from here, or you can just right click this return value and promote it to another variable. That'll be your health bar reference. So now let's compile and save. And when I go back to my third person map, I'll make sure that RPG controller or RPG player controller BP is set to my player controller class. And now when I hit play, I should be able to see my health 100 out of 100 because that's exactly what's initialized on the top left. And that's a pretty simple tutorial, and that's a pretty simple way to display our HUD. In the next video, we're going to make sure we're going to be able to double check that when it changes, it's going to be accurate and actually update accordingly. And I also want to set some level stuff. So basically, whenever we level up, our max health should be able to increase. Same with our max stamina and max mana. Thanks for watching Code of the Row. Like, subscribe, comment below, you want to see next. And yeah, this is part 2 of our side scroller series using gameplay ability system. And thanks for watching.